So we found a third YouTube channel from Diane, the one that's estranged, and also a real estate agent. The third YouTube channel is her doing van life or camping. And at first I was like, okay, maybe she's like driving up to the woods, sleeping in her car for a day and coming back and just wants to call it camping. So she wakes up in the morning in her home, records a video about how hard it is to be a bad mom, goes out into the woods, records a video about being unhoused, I guess. Every video or so I get like 2 or 3 people that are like, oh, Diane's fine, but like Diane knows what she's doing, right? She absolutely knows what she's doing. She's trying to get money from as many people as she can, and you know this because she's smart enough to not link any of these channels together. These channels do not lead into each other. All right, this is her car camping channel. What is her most viewed video? Is it the one on no build car camping setup full tour? I cheated with him with like obviously Ted. This is obviously clickbait. I feel like I cheated with him means she's like been like, oh, I'm not eating food unless I make it myself or something stupid. Leaving in my car for weeks is wild. There's no way she did that. There's absolutely no way she did just go home immediately after. The truth about living in your car, this is going to be so stupid. We're going to start with the cheating one just to get an idea of like what she's actually doing, right? This is I cheated with him day 16. I'm assuming that's day 16 of her being in this like van car life journey. I don't know up to this point if she's been living in this car or she's just camping. I don't know. There's a lot of context that I'm missing. We just found this YouTube channel and I'm sure we'll get there. A mistake that I made with the estrangement videos is that I watched them out of order and I had no idea who people were. We now have a better idea of who Diane is, and also I think we're going to see Ted. We know who Ted is. I was told in the Discord that her daughter is in this video, and there's another video with her daughter in it, which is why we're starting here.
We are taking a pause in monastic life.
I'm afraid I'm not going to have a lot to say, because I'm experiencing this entire thing for the first time. Within the estranged videos, I can be like, okay, here's an experience I have with this. I don't have any experience here. I don't know anything about car camping. I don't know anything about pretending to be unhoused. And don't know anything about just being someone who's like driving around begging for attention. No idea. All I know is Diane exists and we do not like her. And that's where we're starting and probably where we're going to finish.
We are taking a pause in monastic life to go to the Spokane airport to pick up a very special guest.
It's day 16 of my car camping adventure, and today is the day I have to confess that I cheated with this guy. But there's a very good reason. I didn't talk to the camera at all on the drive to Spokane. I was thinking about my trip so far and how much fun I'd had doing whatever I wanted, whenever I wanted, getting used to my empty nest life. Maybe because I'm an only child and a borderline introvert,
There's no way this woman's introverted. Like I'm not going to have a lot to say about this video. None of this has anything to do with me. At TwitchCon, I go to TwitchCon, right? I've been to TwitchCon every year that I've been on Twitch. All 3. And at TwitchCon, I like to do this thing where I don't make any plans. And at the end of the convention for the night, I go back to the house that I'm staying in. And then I go to bed. It takes a lot to get me out of that house. And everyone gets one favor. If you really, really want me to, I'll do it for you once. And we can go get food. We can go hang out. We can go whatever. You get one. But I have to force myself to. This is a woman. This is the woman at the party who goes and talks to everyone, hangs out with everyone, like knows everyone. Like, this is so loud. Gets on, like, skips a line in karaoke and then goes, "Ah, I'm such an introvert." So what these videos are going to be, are there going to be a lot of her being alone and then using that time to... It's not introspection because she's not sitting there learning about herself. She's preaching again. She's going to sit here and be like, this is the meaning of life, right? And that's an educated guess. Somebody said something. The person who found this channel and had been watching it and told me about it in the Discord said that.
love exploring on my own. But all of that was about to change. Some of you may be wondering, how did I get my husband to say yes to this trip? Because I'm going to be away on the road for a whole month. And, he doesn't really like it when I'm away.
That can't be true. If I was someone who had Diane in their life in any capacity and she was like, hey, I'm going to leave for any amount of time, I would pay for it myself. You sure you only want to do a month? That being said, you think Ted stays back during these trips and that's the time that he uses to edit videos? Yeah, but don't Trump supporters hate their wives? That has to be true. Or is he like, I need someone to like cook for me? We know a good amount about Ted. Not like as much as we know about Diane, but we've seen him.
But I had to go. I just have this big dream of traveling, and life is short. Died this year, and that really punctuates how short life is. And I got antsy and I was feeling trapped, and I just said I've got to go. Look who it is! Backpack on the floor and the other thing on top.
At what point in your marriage do you stop getting out of the car when you pick someone up at the airport? Max, you know damn well Diane has never gotten out of the car for anyone. Do you think she gets annoyed when people don't get out of the car for her though? Like, is that the type of vibe she brings?
It's all very specially designed for you. It's our special guest.
What do you mean her special?
Cutie!
How about not
Cutie?
live stream or
You're on the
something?
Diane show, you're not live stream.
Okay.
Welcome to Washington.
Okay, Kitty. Really gonna videotape her whole life? Videotape her sex life?
We'll get to that in a second. I think pet names need to stay private. And I might be a little bit of a hypocrite here. I definitely am a hypocrite, but I think pet names should stay private. I think if you and your partner call each other cutie, not my business. That is not my business. Call each other what you want to call each other. But then I hear it and I'm like, oh, that was gross. I don't want to hear that ever again. Now, what did I just hear from Ted?
Okay, Kitty. Really gonna videotape her whole life? Videotape her sex life?
The worst part about me, no, I tried to say that I would watch it. I don't think I wouldn't. I would not. If Diane and Ted released a tape of their bedroom time, would you watch the entire 94 seconds? Michael, I would have you describe it to me because I could not. You're a stronger man than I am. Apparently Costco doesn't sell baby oil. Who knew?
Okay. No, nobody wants to see that. Yeah.
Nobody wants to see that. At least she's like somewhat self-aware.
Okay. No, nobody wants to see that. Yeah. One of my husband's most endearing traits is his politically incorrectness. At first he was really against.
What is politically incorrect about making a sex tape joke with your partner? With your spouse? What? I think they're just not funny is the problem.
Politically incorrectness. At first he was really kind of against it, but it's my life and kids are out of the house and we have flexible schedules for work, and every couple of years, I just need to go on a chick trip. Usually it's backpacking because backpacking is practically free. This trip is a road trip. It's going to be a little pricier because, gas is so spendy now, but.
So there's an article about them and about who they were and who they are. They speak of them like they have a lot of money, and they obviously do things like this to try and get money for no real reason. I don't know. I guess I don't know what I'm trying to get at. It's dumb to me the way she talks about spending money. And then it's dumb to me that she speaks of spending money like it's a hard thing to do while actively pushing a group chat for estranged parents that costs $20 a month to be a part of.
But I'm going to try to do it dirtbag style, camping free and, eating cheap and all of that as much as I can. And all that changes for the next 10 days with the hubby on board.
Yeah, okay, so this is what she means by cheating. She means they're going to eat not what she's been eating. I'm struggling to say dirtbag food like she did because I doubt it.
He's not really that into camping. He's more of a hotel restaurant kind of guy. Don't get me wrong, I love that stuff too, but for the next few videos, this turns into more of a road trip, which is where the cheating part comes in, except for that one glamping thing that goes totally wrong, but you'll see that in an upcoming video. Anyway, I hope you'll stick with me, and oh my god, look at this food. Oh, yummy. Sometimes you just have to stand up for yourself, even though it's hard for your partner, for your own sanity. And if you're in a good marriage, you guys just deal with it. I deal with his stuff. He deals with my stuff.
Do you deal with his stuff? What is his stuff? Oh, he wants to edit my videos. And he deals with me hating our children. I think within any relationship, you're going to have some sort of compromise. Like they're going to do things that you don't want them to or like necessarily love to do with them, and the other way around. This is just one of them, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think I just hate Diane.
If it's really important, you just have to make a big show of it, or stink, or whatever you want to call it. But it's your life. It's your time. I could die tomorrow. I've always lived my life with a goal of no regrets, and it's pretty much worked out great so far.
There's no way she just said that, right?
With a goal of no time. I could die tomorrow. I've always lived my life with a goal of no regrets, and it's pretty much worked out great so far.
I've always lived my life with a goal of no regrets, and it's pretty much worked out great so far. Including the 2 daughters she has that are now estranged from her. I don't know how you can look at having a child, that child deciding that they don't want to talk to you because you've been a terrible parent for so long, and then being like, no raggerts, no ragrets, hashtag your loss, hashtag free mom, hashtag your fault, not mine. Yeah, she would, Michael. Without the estranged daughters, she wouldn't have content. Apparently she would, because she's doing this. And she also has a real estate channel. What else does she have? Dude, there's no way she doesn't have like a Forex crypto channel. Is that merch? There's no way. Did I just get merch? Oh my god. She has merch. No, you're right, Michael. They definitely don't know. Oh, this is... Where does the piggy come from? Because I know that, like, she has it in her picture here, and she probably does in a couple of thumbnails, but I don't know what it's about. That is wild to me. Does anyone need a 20-ounce water bottle? Anyway, sorry. Like, I'm going into rabbit holes within rabbit holes. So Diane has merch, which I think is wild. Not my business. If you want to support Diane and buy a $55 hoodie, okay.
But I'll be honest, I was a little worried about how this trip with him would go, because I'd made all the arrangements and they'd cost a lot since it was the height of summer, and they were non-refundable. So if something went wrong, well, it'd be all my fault.
Haven't you been married to this man forever? You guys don't think you can make it 10 days together? That's like a TV show trope that I never understood. It's like a married couple hating each other. Like, not my business.
Seeing that the Medusans exist on another plane of existence, that they...
We headed back to Servasti Abbey, where we were staying as guests while visiting our daughter, listening to Star Trek podcasts along the way. Ted loves this stuff.
I see that whole society of being formless, they don't speak, and it's beyond imagination.
I just did it. I said I gotta go. We argued. He said, okay.
It's not that hard to compromise on listening to something that doesn't bother one of you. Like, if you don't want to listen to Star Trek podcast, I get that. I would hate that. But you're telling me Ted, as like a 70-year-old man, can't understand that you might want to listen to something else? Like, why are you married to this man? Like, there isn't a single part of this woman's life that seems enjoyable. The merch is killing me. Like, anytime I try to get a thought out, I immediately just go to the merch. Like, she has merch. I guarantee you it's not free shipping either. Plus shipping, yeah. $60.98. Like, I would rather she made this $60 and then include shipping. I'm like, that's such an easy way to get me. If this was $60 and it said free shipping, yeah, no, you got me. I'm not going to complain about that. But $53 with $8 shipping is too much. This is why it takes me 2 hours to go through a 10-minute video. I can't even remember where we're at. They just got in a fight in the car over a Star Trek podcast. That's this dude, right? Little Spocky Poo.
It feels great to be out here on my own, exploring.
I bet it feels really, really good to be away from your husband. And I feel like it's probably even better being away from your 2 daughters, isn't it, Diane? They don't know. This side of the internet, with her like sleeping in her van, does not know anything about her estrangements. That's what I've been told. Good for her. Good for her on not connecting any of these channels.
On my own time, going where I want to go, stopping whenever I want to stop, doing whatever I want to do, eating junk food. Just a little bit. So there's a little more to this story of how I got the hubby on board than what the day one footage shows. I needed to include him while still giving myself the space I needed to deal with my own stuff. So I hatched this big plan to have him fly out, visit our daughter, visit our friends in Idaho, and then explore Montana for a week with me. There just had to be something in it for him. Marriage is all about compromise.
Marriage is about compromise. I understand that completely. You shouldn't have to pay your spouse to do something for you. Right? Or am I tripping?
Ted was really excited to see Sydney because he's always been such a devoted dad. And I almost think that letting go of the grown daughters has been harder for him than for me.
Is she lying or she's just not telling the truth, I guess? There's not a lot to say here. Again, she's someone who keeps her channel separate and like acts entirely different on all of them. It is very much the same person. She just knows not to say that it is her fault and Ted's fault that the daughters are gone. I think this video lines up really well with the last time in the estrangement videos that they mention their daughter, who we now know to be named Sydney. Something that they talked about a lot when those videos were coming out is Sydney. They would say, oh, one of our daughters, or oh, the daughter that still talks to us, or the daughter that's not estranged. They would bring her up constantly. And they haven't for a while. And I didn't know why. I kind of just forgot about her until somebody in my comment section said that she joined a monastery and then later on decided not to talk to them anymore. We're somewhere in the middle of that. This is after she joined the monastery. They go to visit her. They're spending time with her. I don't know if something happens to where she ends up cutting them off. I think it does happen because they don't talk about her at all anymore. In the same way that they don't even talk about the daughter they were originally estranged from. Diane just kind of stands up, gives advice nobody asked for. They've been hanging out for 2 minutes and they're already arguing. Hi, Editor Max here. So this moment between Ted and Diane and their daughter Sydney very much feels like a private moment. Like it's something that Diane should have never put on the internet. They're going on a hike together, and though they spend most of it arguing, there are very much moments of it that is very family orientated. I'm going to cut out a lot of this for the video. Again, it seems like a private moment. I'm here to make comments and I'm here to criticize Diane for her actions. I'm not here to criticize her for the moments she has within her family. I'm here to criticize her for pushing her daughters away. This little moment happens before she and her second daughter are estranged. So it feels like it's none of my business. Diane should have kept it off the internet. She didn't, but I'm going to. If you really want to go and watch the video yourself, that's cool. That's on you. Diane doesn't hide the channel. I'm not going to link to it, but that's within your right. I'm going to skip a lot of that. I'm also probably not going to include the whole video where she rants on whether or not her daughter joined a cult. I might include some moments of her rant, but I'm not going to include the moments that speak too specifically of her daughter, because her daughter is also now estranged, and that's just none of my business. I've never shown the first daughter's TikTok, though we did find it. I've never linked to any of it. She probably wants to be left alone. She doesn't need to be reminded of who her parents are or how they have treated her. Neither of the kids do. That's not what I'm here to do, so I'm just gonna leave that alone.
Look, I love my husband, but we've been married for 30 plus years, and we were stuck together in a tiny condo for 2 years during COVID, and a lot of stuff happened in my life this year, and sometimes you just need a break. Sometimes you just need that space to go off and collect your own thoughts, and when you're away like that, you really do start to appreciate what it is you're missing, and it makes getting back together all the sweeter.
I will say, there are going to be plenty of times in life where people just casually marry the wrong people. That happens, and I'm not in any place to judge anyone on any action, really. Like, I am not a person who should be judging anyone for anything, period. I do have ideas. One of which is you should marry someone you would not mind being stuck in a house with for 2 years. Maybe that's like a wild take, Diane. But like, dude, like, I don't know. They've been married 30 years and it's not her first marriage and it's not his first. So it's not like they were young. It's not like they were 20, decided to get married, and then 5 years later, oh, we're entirely different people now. No, she was 40. He was probably also 40. I get being a person who likes their like own space and their alone time, but don't you want to find the person that doesn't apply to you?
Being human. But we love them anyway, warts and all, because they're...
I think this is what the person mentioned when she talked about how she had to stop watching Diane because Diane gets into these like philosophical rants. Oh, people are complicated. Congrats. You learned that when you were 60.
typically just doing the best they can with what they have, and nobody will ever know you as well as a family that's been with you all your life. Even if they're the biggest bunch of politically incorrect weirdos like us ever to walk the planet. She
does show her second daughter.
Trust her, Ted. She knows the trails.
You're in a long-term relationship. You're two people. You have different needs. Sometimes they conflict. But in the end, you gotta stand up for yourself. You gotta follow your heart and stay true to yourself and all the cliches, because, you know, it's your life.
And if they love you, they'll stick with you. And if they don't, they won't. Next time, all hell breaks loose
getting
with the
close.
car, and we are literally stranded with thousands of dollars of plans potentially ruined.
Again, I don't have too much to say about Diane in this situation. Like, I don't know that she's like pretending so much as she's just not like mentioning. She's not going to talk about her other daughter. She's just not. She's just going to exist in a weird little vacuum of car camping. There was another video that they put into the Discord, and it was, I think that's all that is. I think she unlists these videos, but she can't bring it. She doesn't have it in her to like delete them. Day 12, day 13, day 14, and then day 16. And then somebody put day 15 in the Discord. Did my daughter join a cult? Which is the day before the one we just watched. I'm gonna hate this, aren't I? Which is how I start too many of these videos.
I'm thinking, oh my God, what did I do wrong?
You think she does this? Like, does she edit these? Or does Ted? Because
I'm thinking, oh my God, what did I do wrong?
that is so dramatic. And I cannot imagine watching this back and doing that myself. I just can't.
I want to be a Buddhist nun. I'm thinking, oh my God. She said, I want to be a Buddhist nun. I'm thinking,
She said, I want to be a Buddhist nun.
oh my God, what did I do wrong?
I'm thinking, oh my God, what did I do wrong? It took me like 4 attempts to just hear what she was saying.
It's day 15 of my 30-day car camping adventure, and today we take a big detour into a foreign, maybe even scary place. This is a tragic story of love and loss, and I need to know, did my daughter join a cult? Good
Okay, this is Unlisted. This is just straight Unlisted.
morning! It is a new day, and there is a new plan. We are on our way to Hayden, Idaho. I have to get a COVID test there. Once I get the results, assuming I don't have COVID, which I shouldn't, then I can go on to the Abbey where my daughter
You think at any point she talks about how she's unvaccinated?
is living. I
Or that rant she went in about how like the untested vaccine.
live in two realities
Very
at
good.
the same time. There's the happy-go-lucky, surfacey car camping me that you typically see on this channel. Then there's the dark underbelly, the tormented, did I fail as a parent me, trying to
did.
understand how my family fell apart. When my daughter told me she wanted to be a Buddhist nun,
This is why it's Unlisted, because she mentioned the fact that her family fell apart. It is very much her fault, and if you want to get into that, we have prior videos. She also has an entirely different channel if you don't want to watch it with my voice alongside it. She knows, and she made the mistake of like mentioning the fact that her family fell apart on the wrong channel, and now it's Unlisted.
I was like, oh my God, you really want to do that with your life? You're so creative. Why don't you do something different?
Oh,
and I think
okay.
what it
I
brought up for
misheard
me
that.
as a parent, so creative. It was like, oh my God, you really want to do that with your life? You're so creative. Why don't you do something different? And I think what it brought up for me as a parent was you have this vision for what you think your kid is going to do when they grow up, because you watch them grow up and you see what they're good at and where their talents are. My daughter, Sydney, was always super artistic. I thought seriously she was going to go to work as an animator at Pixar Studios.
Well, that took a lot longer and cost a lot more than it should have.
She decided not to go to college. When she finished her high school education, she was like, I'm done with school. She actually ended up volunteering, or woofing as they call it, on organic farms across the US. And at first, as parents who were sort of, kind of brainwashed for the whole go to college, get a good job, have a career, it was pretty jarring for her to say, nope, I'm not going. And so we were nervous about it, but we're like, okay, it's her life. And she learned a lot of really valuable skills, like how to grow and harvest food, how to make artisanal cheese. We were actually pretty excited about the artisanal cheese because you can make a lot of money selling artisanal cheeses.
Everything to her is just about how much money you can make doing it, which is it's dumb. It's understandable on a very small degree, but it's dumb. But then you realize that she does that with everything she does. I don't think there's an issue with her having 2 of these channels and then being monetized. I think that's kind of what the point of YouTube is, right? But there's a problem with the Estranged Parents channel, and that being a sole way to like make money from people. I think if she didn't have the group chat at $20, I would be a lot more understanding. If it was like 2, okay, even like 5, like a Twitch sub. But 20 is just like a way to make money off of people who just need community. She's never going to be able to think about her daughters as people with their own autonomy who can take care of themselves. And if they needed help, they probably can't come to her because of the person that she is, but she should have been a good enough mom to allow her daughters to explore their lives and make them feel comfortable with coming to her if they needed help. I think that's the point of being a parent.
And, as a parent, it's not so much about, oh, we want her to have a lot of money. What we really want is for her to be comfortable and to have choices, and money affords choices. And so although it wasn't the college education we envisioned, she learned a lot by educating herself in her own way, following her own interests.
I will say, If I met the 16-year-old version of myself, right, I would tell myself not to go to college. I did a lot of math, and now I'm kind of here. But it did feel like a waste of time for me. Although I don't think I would have been like, I'm going to go learn how to make cheese so that I can make money. None of this matters.
All right, well, that was a nice little walk. This is a great little community area. The hardest part was staying clean with all the dogs roaming around, but I managed to do it. These are my Abby pants. You have to wear like muted clothes and flowy things and nothing loud, and this is really the only appropriate set of pants I have, so I'm really glad the dogs didn't jump on me. Yeah, so
Why is she wearing this massive hat inside of her car?
So where did this Buddhism thing come from? It might have been the first Buddhist place that she volunteered, helping them with their garden, forestry, and whatever else. Back then, as a parent, I'm like, oh, that's fine. That's a little weird, but you know, it's within the realm of her volunteering at different farms. We really thought she was going to go into organic farming as a career. And then
I don't want to say too much about this because we don't know Sydney. We don't know if she was doing this because she wanted a hobby, if she enjoyed it, or if she did want to make it a career. If she did say, oh, look, I'm going to make cheese and I'm going to make so much money, I'll be fine. I don't know, and I'm not going to speculate on her entire side of this situation. I do think it's weird for parents to look at everything a child does and to go, okay, how are you going to make money doing this? I get that you want to take care of your child, but you should do that in ways that aren't going to push them away. And trying to monetize every part of your child's life and control it in some way is just annoying. And I think Diane she's too old not to realize that not everyone thinks like her. And in everything Diane does that we know about so far, she's found a way to monetize and profit off it. Whether it's merch that does not link to her in any way. Like if I showed up in her hoodie and you didn't know it was her hoodie, you wouldn't know it was hers. A channel based on car camping where she sometimes calls herself unhoused, which is gross. A channel based on estrangement where I don't even know the word I want to use. I don't think it's guilt, but it's like she presents herself as someone who has a lot of experience with things that she doesn't and a lot of insight that she doesn't have. And then she baits people into joining her $20 a month group chat. To do what? I guarantee you that if I go in there, she'll make posts, but she won't talk. Which is what people are looking for when they join groups like that. They want a sense of community and they want to feel like they're not alone. She just wants to make money off of them. Same thing with like real estate, right? She has an entire channel devoted to real estate where she talks about how she moved to Puerto Rico to take advantage of like tax benefits. Anything Diane has ever done has been straight up just for money. Yes, and she's someone who will take quotes, say them, and be like, ah, yeah, you didn't think of that, did you? I'm so smart. And it comes back to like the one that sticks with me is the one where she goes, you, in talking about people who are younger than her, have not been around long enough to see the view from 30,000 feet. Where she talks about how sometimes when you're in an experience, you may not be able to see how it's all going to like lay out or the outcomes of it or what you may or may not be doing wrong. But she uses these quotes as an excuse to not do any real introspection and not to come up with any real solutions. He told me that when you start traveling a lot, you're going to meet a lot of people who have been in this business for a long time, and a lot of them are stupid, but they hear a lot of smart things and they repeat a lot of smart things. They may not understand them. They probably don't know what they're saying, but you should listen to the words they say. Sometimes it's really easy to hear a good quote and to repeat it, even if you don't know what it is you're saying. There's a little bit of like, I'm glad they're not her quotes and I can look at them. I can look at them like maybe there's something like good in there, But I don't think I've heard a single idea from Diane that wasn't just straight stupid. I thought quotes make me look smart, but I was like 14. My Facebook banner when I was 14 was a picture of Eminem and a quote that said, "Got enemies? Good. That means you're doing something right." Something like that. Like that is something you do when you're young and you're dumb. Diane is not young.
Then she volunteered at another Buddhist place. It was the people there weren't as serious, I guess, as the people at. And she's like, "I really want to go back." And I'm like, "Oh, do you just want to go volunteer some more?" And she's like, "I really want to explore monastic life." And I'm like, "Oh."
Is that her profile picture?
Figure out what to do.
Does she just make this face all the time? Nah, that's just what she looks like, Max. Same shirt though. She wears this. I'm Max. You only wear like 4 different hoodies. Like, shut up. I talk to myself this way, okay? So I don't feel bad about the things I say to Diane. You're paying $1 million for a house in Ohio. That's wild.
Look at the deer family. They're so cute.
Someone brought that up too. Someone brought up like how she puts housing prices in her videos. And then they were like, "Oh, the real estate thing makes sense." That's all she does. I guess she just thinks about money all the time.
Mama and the babies. Aww. They're adorable. I am just wandering a little too pointlessly at this point, so I need to come up with a new plan.
Meanwhile, I'm Googling, what the heck is it a cult? Literally, that was my first thought. Of course,
I would respect her a lot more if she added a laugh track. Like if she did this whole thing with her fingers here.
What the heck is it a cult?
And there was like a laugh track in the back.
Literally, that was my first thought. Of course, I went to their website, and they're all bald. All these ladies are bald, and they all have red robes on. They don't look exactly like the Hare Krishnas from the movies, Airplane or whatever.
There's never stopping in a white zone.
Don't tell me which zone is for stopping and which zone is for loading.
I'm like, oh my God, is she getting sucked into a cult? And the reason I thought that is because they impose limits on her contact with the outside world. That's what
I will say that it is probably her daughters who are susceptible to being pulled into a cult, because the people that end up joining are usually people who have not had a sense of family or community. And then whoever recruits them is like, "Oh, we'll take care of you." And they end up being nice, and they end up seeming smart, and they end up doing all these things that your family should have done and didn't. The limits on contact is a lot. I feel like I could join a cult. If you are nice to me, I'll join a cult.
That's what makes me think of cult, from what Sydney told me. Really, they do that because they want to limit your corruption of thought. I mean, just look at social media. Huge distraction.
We're back. She didn't get into it. Normally she does, but
stuff just serves to take your mind away from focusing on learning about the Dharma and from deciding if this is a path for you.
Okay, yet another new plan. I found a park on the map and we're going for it. Ah yes, Hayden Lake Country Club. Lovely, darling, lovely.
Dude, I hate the way she talks. I think I say that at least once in every video. Again, I don't know if this is a second video or a part 2 to like where we're at. I don't have too much to say about this. Right now, she's just like traveling. It's easier with the Estranged parent channel because there's a lot of like things to talk about there. And there's a lot of like, oh, this happened to me, or this is something I relate to, or like this is an idea I have. She's doing what a lot of people do in that she's living a part of her life where she can ignore the other parts. And that's all that is. I don't think she should be expected. I don't think she should be expected to carry around the other parts of her life into this part of her life. I think that would be dumb to expect one of these videos to be half about her estranged daughter. I do think that when you are going out of your way to make sure these channels aren't linked, aren't connected in any way, and it looks like you're, at the very least, looks like you're hiding them from the communities of each other, then that's a problem, and you know it is. There's a difference between ignoring your issues and looking for time to like set them aside, and hiding them. And someone who commented on the last video, who then came into the Discord, mentioned how if the car camping community knew about the estranged parents stuff and how right-wing she was and the ideas that she had and the rants that she went into, that they would not accept her, that they would drop her. And so I think she's making a very conscious effort to ingrain herself into this community so that she can make money off these videos while making sure they don't have easy access to who she actually is, the thoughts that she actually has.
She took, I think, a year and a half off to think about it. And I think she had decided she wanted to go back. And then COVID hit. She had to work and save up money because, you know, if you're going to go there and study seriously, they want you to have a chunk of savings so that if something happens, like a doctor's appointment, you need to have something for personal incidentals.
So less culty, right? Like, hey, if you're going to come live with us, you need to be like prepared for an emergency. Little less culty, but we're there anyway. She had to take a COVID test before going into the monastery.
So the COVID gave her an opportunity to save up, and she applied to go back, and they accepted her, and she was going to be going as an anagarika, which is what they call the people who are seriously considering being ordained. And it's a little weird for us to understand, but we're trying.
If you are someone who looks for a higher power to live their life for, I'm not going to tell you that's wrong. That's who you are. The issue with anything is the way that it's weaponized. If you are going to weaponize religion, you're going to tell other people that they're wrong. You're going to say, oh no, this is a sin in my whatever. That's stupid. But if you're someone who wants to wake up, go to church, pray, and that makes you feel good, that's fantastic. That's great. I'm happy for you. But if you're going to preach God to people who are not asking for it, that's so stupid. The amount of times people on Twitch have come in here and be like, can I pray for you? And I've said no. And then they do it in chat and then just get themselves banned. It's not one. I think it's like 3, but still, that's too many.
That's what it takes to build houses, people. Diesel trucks hauling logs.
So it was pretty upsetting in
that.
the beginning, and I think it still is because of the limits of contact. Not only is it about not being distracted from studies, but I think it's about attachment. There's a certain amount of detachment I think they need to have to really go into themselves and study these ideas, truths, lessons. And so we've had to cope with the limits of communication, which is hard. Because I may have mentioned that our other daughter stopped talking to us. And so Sydney is...
Again, this is why I think this specific video is unlisted. It's because she mentions the estranged daughter. And I don't think she wants people looking into that at all on this side of the internet.
The only one still talking to us. So that makes it harder. That makes it harder.
If she didn't have the Estranged Parents channel, it would be a lot easier to feel empathetic towards her. Because we wouldn't have enough information to be like, oh, it's very obviously her fault. I don't think there's anything wrong with like mentioning like, oh, one of our daughters doesn't speak to us. But that's all this side of the internet is getting. And that just feels gross. It feels a little like she's lying. Because she's sprinkling these like parts of her life and then not explaining them. And I don't think she should have to. But it does feel like she's lying. If we found these videos first, I would have no interest in them. Like there's nothing happening here. I think the traveling is boring. I don't think she has anything important to say. I don't think I've ever heard Diane say anything important or anything that was like new information to me in a sense of life. I think she just like, she's a person who never had to grow up, who has listened to a lot of quotes. Eyes of a Mission. I don't think you should have to say everything all the time, but she's acting like someone entirely different on this channel than who she is. And that feels like a lie. And she's doing the thing where she says things to garner sympathy. Like she mentions that her daughter doesn't speak to her. She gets really she gets a little emotional over the idea of this daughter also not having the option to speak to her. And she's very careful to not say why the first daughter doesn't speak to her. And also, she's like, oh, I'm scared she's joining a cult. And now she's like in this position to be afraid. And so it's easy when you don't have any context to be like, oh, this poor woman. And that's when it feels like a lie.
But didn't live up to expectations.
A big part of what she's learning is about letting go of attachments, and I think that's a big lesson for us as well. The minute the child comes out of your body, they are detaching from you. They grow up, they become more and more independent, and then one day they leave the house and they're living their own lives, and they don't
You think she wanted to be pregnant forever like Bonnie from Family Guy?
really need you that much anymore. I mean, they don't really need you. I guess if you've done a good job, so I guess we should be proud of ourselves. But letting go of those, I guess they're dreams I never really even thought I had.
This is the part where it gets infuriating because she said, I guess they don't really need you if you've done a good job, but they're not going out on their own. Like, these are people who have left their families to look for community. She's not going out on her own. She's not, thank you for raising me this way, I'm going to go be independent now. She's looking for community in a monastery because whatever love she hopes she gets there, she did not get from her parents. What are you proud of?
I didn't think I was one of those parents that thought, it'd be cool to have grandchildren. I guess I never even thought that we wouldn't have family events together. I mean, I just kind of assumed we'd always get together for Christmas and Thanksgiving, or at least one of them. That's not, we'd always get together for Christmas and Thanksgiving, or at least one of them. That's not happening anymore.
I can't take her seriously. Also, do you guys think, like, this is a real question, you guys think this is like right off the camp, like right off the parking lot? Like, she parked her car, walked 20 feet, set up a camera and sat down? Or is this like, did she take a little hikey poo? She just needs attention and sympathy, not even empathy. I don't think she wants people to understand her at all. I think she wants people to feel bad for her.
This whole idea of becoming a Buddhist nun, it's so difficult because it takes her completely out of our world and into theirs. And I have to let go.
That's so bizarre.
Is that a rat or a lizard?
Prayer ceremony, which is kind of cool.
Oh, it's a squirrel. That's not making the video. I get distracted too easily.
We are guessing on how to get to the thing we want to see. Oh, it's a park.
I do think the median home price popping up every now and then is super weird. Yeah.
The second encounter, Sydney had been there for about 9 months, and we were going up that way again. Big road trip to get out of the house after COVID. And so we arranged to meet them for lunch, and they were very kind and welcoming. And lunch was interesting because the first 15 minutes of it you eat in absolute silence. The idea was to appreciate the food. It's to just really be present with the food that you're eating. We got to sit at the head table with Venerable Children, who is the founder and leader of the Abbey. And that was actually super interesting.
Oh my gosh, it is so hot out there. I'm so grateful for air conditioning and all the oil it takes.
Ah, did I hate that? I hate that.
Let's continue.
Sorry if that hit you. That hit me too.
I mean, yay, you're over here.
I asked her about how on earth did she do this, founding in the United States. And she told me her story and where she had studied. Everybody was chased out because of war. They were sort of refugees. And then somebody said she should start one in the United States, and she did. And it was a classic entrepreneur tale of she didn't really know what she was doing, and she was just trying to figure it out. She brought a lot of good people with her along the way, and they got on board, and together they all made it work. And today, this Abbey is thriving on this beautiful property, and the people I met there, even though they were bald and wearing robes and, not looking like your average everyday American, they were the nice.
What do you think Diane thinks the average everyday American looks like? Also, comparing it to comparing someone starting a monastery to like an entrepreneur is weird. I don't know the person's intentions. I'm going to assume they weren't monetary.
They made a point of saying hello. They would ask you questions and they would actually listen to the answers. Like, the conversations I had there were more real than many I've had recently, because out here we're all self-absorbed with how do we look, how do we sound, what am I going to say to look good in front of my boss or my peers or in this meeting. Or if you're at a party and people ask you a question and you answer and you can see their eyes glazing over almost immediately, like they just asked the question because it's polite, not that they really cared. But there, when I had conversations with people, they seemed to really care. Like
She's obsessed with the idea of people listening to her. And I don't know if it's because she needs the attention. I do. It's because she needs the attention. And also because she thinks she has something to say. In the same way that she goes into these like random rants that are just her way of circling one little thought she had. And it also goes even down to like, sometimes she'll like pick up 2 words she thinks are super smart and she'll say them over and over again. Like a righteous judgment, something. In the last one, like these are so dumb. But yes, her daughter found a place where people listen to her. And that's probably what feels really, really good.
Of meeting her and all the venerables who are the ordained nuns, I just knew in my heart after that it was not a cult, that Sydney was in a good place. And if she chose to stay, I could see why. And even if it's hard for us to accept, she is just thriving there. And what else do you want as a parent for your child but to see them thrive?
I gotta tell you, I just watched this entire video and I have no idea how we got here. Like, I don't think she said anything worth remembering. I think they may have accidentally raised someone who is very kind and compassionate because that's what they were looking for and didn't receive. And that makes sense to me because she no longer speaks to them. But I don't think she was raised with that. I think she was forced into being that person because it's not what she was given.
An honor to have raised.
This is the same music she used in the first video where she like pulls up the fake video of like a bunch of kids being like, you ruined my life, stuff like that. I don't know, like I don't think we'll ever know whether she does this or Ted does this, but it's still gross to be done regardless. That was like a horror movie shot. Like you're just like, oh, I'm in the middle of the trail. I'm all alone. I'm not alone.
Here's my baby girl, Sydney. No hunting. This is why the turkeys are so happy here.
So part of a bodhisattva's work is to help others feel safe. And sometimes that may be by helping them to change environments so they are physically safe. But bodhisattvas also teach us how to be mentally and emotionally safe.
It feels like there's a deeper metaphor here. It feels like the people here are the turkeys. And Diane is the hunter, but she's not allowed to hunt. So she's walking around with her camera, right? Which is like watching a hunter walk around their prey with like a gun, knowing they're not allowed to shoot. I don't trust it. I don't trust that Diane can be around these people and not say something wild at some point. A lot of these stories that we've seen, not just from her and not just from people on this channel, but a lot of on her other channel, but a lot of the people who are estranged parents seem to be estranged from their oldest child. And they usually have better relationships, maybe not way better, but better relationships with their second, third, fourth, whatever it is. I don't know if there's like I messed up with my first child. I don't want to do that again with this child. Or if there's just like a calmer way that people treat their second child. I'm the oldest. I'm the oldest. The relationship between me and my mother is somewhat different than the relationship my mother and my sister had or have. My mother was always a lot more tame with my sister. And my sister got a lot of like little hints at the way my mother was with me. But I don't think my mom ever had a physical like relationship with my sister in the way that like she would with me. And I think my dad was arrested when my sister was 2, so there's nothing there. My biggest takeaway from this video is her daughter made a major life decision, and instead of being a truly supportive parent, she's making it about herself under the guise of being a supportive parent. Yeah, that seems accurate. I think there's a lot of pressure on a younger child to support a parent initially. I think something that happened is that she goes to this monastery and realizes that it's no longer in any way under her control. She can choose to accept it or to not. And even if she doesn't like it, she just has to accept it. And so she's doing that, but she's making it about herself. I think there's a lot of pressure on a younger child to support a parent initially, especially if they're too young to understand the situation. I also think it's easier to like, if you know what you're doing, you could probably convince the younger child that whatever problems you have with the older child are because of the older child. But that seems like that to be like purposefully manipulative is so gross. Yeah, there you go. We're here together.
So my two realities came together, had a conversation, and started on the path to healing. Making this video was cathartic, and I don't even know if anyone will like it, relate to it, or even care. But hopefully, it'll help someone, somehow. Next time, we're going to get back on the road with a very special guest, and the adventures will continue.
Is this new? Oh, dude. All right, we're early. We're so early. We're so early. This was posted an hour ago. Oh, look at her tongue, dude. That's a good baby. A little toasty.